Hey everyone, it is the 21st of December and today's Vlogmas is all about reviewing my plans that I had for 2025. And for those of you who may not have heard of it, Make 9 is like a 9 grid. So when I'm referring to Make 9, I'm just talking about this grid of 9 things that I set for 2025. I am very much of the mindset that these are intentions, hopes and dreams, and it is not a problem if things don't happen, because life is about pivoting and dealing with what we have. But it is always nice to have those ideas, those things we want to try. And so this year I set a range of things. It wasn't particular patterns, some of it was techniques, and so we're going to talk about that. But I've also got a velvet skirt to show you. I wanted to try it, I wanted to see what happens. It is not a stretch velvet, it is more of like a silk velvet, and I'm very excited. I'm going to show you that during today's episode as well. So let's kick off with all the way through. I'm going to move this way, all the way through. Yeah, this way. All the way through, there's going to be on the screen my Make 9 so you can see what I'm referring to. And as I go through, I will tick things off. So I had 9 things that I set for 2025 that I wanted to try. Some of them were pulled from 2024 because I didn't get to them, but I did want to keep them on my list because they were still things I wanted to give a go to, and I didn't mind that they came over into another year. So I had a range of things, from techniques to particular sort of sewing garment types I wanted to do, through to a particular garment that I wanted to sort of find to have in my wardrobe. And it started, and I did really put big effort in at the beginning of 2024 to all the overlocker knowledge. Now I can hear footsteps coming upstairs, which means I might be getting a hot drink into the room.
In a minute.
Okay, not yet. So all the overlocker knowledge was about understanding a bit more about how the dials worked. Could I do a lettuce hem? Could I know which one was the differential, the top thread? I even had post-it notes stuck on my overlocker. Here we go, here is a drink. Thank you very much, Dylan.
For the Woman of the Year.
I am indeed the Woman of the Year today. If you know, you know. There we go. So I put a big effort in early on in the year and had sticky labels on and everything. That's my brain now. I don't know. I am definitely more confident. I would say that I am more open to understanding what the knobs do. Can I remember which one's which? No. Clearly, that is not how my brain works. But I'm giving it a tick because I did have a really good play, a really good pursuit early on in the year with that. Second was jeans making, and actually third was fly zip, and I don't know really why I put those as two separates, because really kind of the same thing. So concurrently I did find a jeans pattern I really liked and learnt how to do a fly zip, which I have done multiple times now. Yes. And actually it's a very exciting thing. If you've not done it, I'd highly recommend it. It's really exciting once you get that fly zip working, and some patterns are clearer than others, and I love a video, and I found that Soho 7's Oxbow pants had a really nice video to go with it. I made a light blue denim pair, sort of a not quite stonewash because it's all one colour, but very pale blue pair, and I didn't put any pockets on anything because they were kind of my toile, but I really love them and I've worn them a lot. And then I wanted to make another pair, so I dyed some of the same denim an apple green and made the same again. It is sometimes really nice just to make the same thing when you find something that works, and I really like the Oxbow pants. They have that great darts at the back which creates that shape from the bottom up to the waist. It is quite high-waisted, so I did actually bring the waist down a little bit on the green pair. I have a third pair panned in a lovely sort of crimson colour, or fuchsia colour, not really sure how to describe it at this point because I'm not looking at it right now. And I have also made the dart side jeans this year, which was a sewing company called Forest and Thread and is now Izzo Sews. And the dart side jeans are really fun because they have a dart that goes on the side of the jeans into the back of the pocket, has a lovely detail on the back of the jeans as well. and so I made 2 pairs of those as well. So I definitely feel that jeans making and zip flies have been conquered this year, and I'm definitely going on into next year to make some jean shorts that I would like to make, and some more pairs of jeans that just fit in a way that I want them to feel, rather than that sort of ready to wear jean that does not work for me, and my powerful thighs and my round bottom just don't work in. So now we go on to the second row, and I have had for several years a dream to find my dream summer dress, i.e. one that I can sew and throw on. Well, this year I feel like I found it. The Benning dress, which was from Swimwear, which at the time was free. I think you have to buy it now because they have like a free pattern for a while when you sign up to their newsletter. But it works beautifully for me. I really love it. I did add in a tie belt. I made 2 versions, and I am going to make a winter version because I feel like I could do that, could lengthen the sleeve, etc. And it is that throw on a hot day. But what I also found was the Sovi sundress I made in 2024, which I'd only really got to wear on a hot holiday for a week, did come back out to play quite heavily in 2025. I will put a link up here because I have done a video this year about my sort of go-to hot weather dresses, and so I feel now that I have some patterns, I have some dresses on those hot days when we get them. I have something I can throw on now. Swimwear, didn't get there. I've got all the equipment now, I've got the fabric, I've got the correct elastic, so it is definitely going into 2026. I really want to do it because, again, I just can't quite find swimwear that works for me. All of the sleeves, well, that definitely happened. April has gone down in the legends of the sequin girly that actually I went to town on sleeves. I drafted my own. I love the book Mad About Sleeves. I loved that I set that intention because I had fun. I learned how to make my own tulip sleeve. It was a really great creative experience, and if you've not ever done anything like that, I really dare you to find a pattern that you like, sort of a top pattern with a set-in sleeve, and go and make a different sleeve for it and put it in, because your brain will love it and your self-esteem will love it, and if it goes wrong, chuck it in the corner, don't tell anyone, and try again. I had ones that worked, ones that didn't work, I did toiles, but it just felt just such creative interest. And I used top patterns that I knew worked, so it was just about the sleeve, which really helped. So then we get on to the final row, and underwear. So 50% of that is ticked. I have found a knicker pattern that works really well for me. I'm going to put a video up here of that, and it is the Tammy Handmade. I am going to take that one through into 2026, and I don't know that I'm going to necessarily do a make 9 grid. I'm just going to take the ones forward and add anything else that I want to. But I have found a knicker pattern. I would like to explore bralettes, sportswear sort of tops, proper bras. I'd like to really go to town on that next year, a bit like I went to town on sleeves this year. But I love that I've started. I love that I've found something that works, and it's definitely going to continue. If you haven't, it is a great way to use up bits of jersey that you've got. It's a great way to explore again fitting issues. I learned that I needed to widen the gusset to get the fit that I liked, and obviously you don't all need to put your bottom on the internet like I did but I know that it was helpful. Learned to crochet. I wanted to do it when I went away on the sewing retreat. Mary was there, who was very kindly said she would teach me. I even took the things I needed. It didn't happen, but that is going to go to 2026. I do think once I learn to crochet, it is going to be dangerous, because that means my hands can never not be busy, because you can crochet on the train, you can crochet in the car, you can crochet on a plane. Yeah, but I want to. I have tried to learn before. It's going into 2026. And last of all, sew at least 5 patterns from my collection and 1 big 4. I definitely have dived into my pattern collection this year, and quite a few have been used all the way through the year. But also I have done a big 4. I did a big 4 top, I have revisited a big fall one that I got in a magazine. I do have to, for 2026, have a bit of an honest review about what I'm going to do about all the big fall patterns I've got. I've got a lot of vintage ones and I'm not touching them. So that is something I want to think about. So that is kind of a really nice... The one thing I like about Make 9 is it gives me a chance to pause and go, how's it gone? How have my hopes and dreams gone? What have I enjoyed? What's been good? I know some people have got a bit like sort of about it because it felt too restrictive. Some people put fabric on there, some people put pattern types. I think, like anything else in life, you've got to make it work for you, and if it works for you, it will bring you the joy or the success that you want from it. But also we've got to go for that mindset of it's not all or nothing. It doesn't matter that I didn't do all 9 because it's just the hopes and dreams, and some of them I might never touch, but actually a lot of them are hopes and dreams I want to keep going with. But if there was something on there and I'm like, done with that, moving on, then it wouldn't go back on. You could do 5 things, 4 things. It's only called Make 9 because it's a 3x3 grid. I don't know if I'll have 9 for next year. We shall see, but there will be plans coming, and there will be a review thing coming as well. But I like that it's a little chance to go, yay! It's like the best ta-da list of all because I can go ta-da, ta-da, and actually go woohoo! And who doesn't want an opportunity to cheerlead themselves? So let's talk velvet skirt. So this is a pattern that I have already made 3 times, and it is the Henrietta skirt by Spaghetti Western. And I love it. I love the design features in it. I'm particularly happy with the 3rd one I've made, which uses Liz Taylor fabric, because I was able to get the coordinating fabric to use for the yoke. Now I've had in a box for a year some gorgeous, I think it's like silk velvet. It's not stretch velvet. It's definitely a woven type, so there's no stretch to it, that I bought from Rainbow Fabrics last year, and it has like an iridescence to it, which is what makes me think it's more of a silk than a normal velvet, because as it moves, hopefully as you can see in the video that's on the screen, it shows different colour elements. Now I wanted to have a go at making this skirt in it because I just felt it could be just like a really fabulous but comfortable, just a great skirt for wearing when you want to feel a little bit something but not overdressed. And so I set about doing it. I was unsure of how the gathers would go, and a lovely viewer suggested that you could do pleats if the gathers didn't work, and I really liked that suggestion. However, the gathers did work. I did 2 rows of gathering to really make sure, because obviously it was a bit heavier, that I got consistent gathering. Sometimes I don't always do 2 rows, but with this I made sure I did. Obviously it was a bit more of a challenge at the edges because it's a bit thicker, but I made sure I did generous seams to look after that, and overlocked them afterwards as well. I didn't overlock them before because I wanted to be able to trap the gathered join in, so I overlocked each individual seam afterwards, and I did them separately rather than together to reduce the bulk and just create a bit more movement. I took an executive decision with the waistband that I didn't want to do the usual fold over to stitch down, because this waistband is an integral part of the skirt, because I felt that it would create bulk and affect the pile of the velvet. So I actually overlocked the top of the skirt and then folded it down once to stitch to create the channel for the elastic. And also I was very careful to make sure I had the direction of my velvet going the right way on all pieces, because that is one of the beasts about sewing with velvet. I have to hem it, and I haven't done that yet because I just wanted to let it hang. It had quite a lot of creases in, which I was able to iron out on the back surface of the fabric, and they went well. It is a challenge with the gathers, being careful not to press them to make them become sort of folds in it, but I do feel that it is that the way the fabric moves is glorious, and I was thinking about like a jacket in it. This is the trouble, my brain goes to places when I've done things, but I am really pleased with how it has turned out. Do let me know what you think of it. So what I'm just sharing on screen now is something that we had a bit of fun with the other night in our members virtual Christmas party. We played a few like little fun sewing things, and on the screen right now we have a tier ranking that we all did. So we got together and obviously the top tier is like love and the bottom tier is the Grinch because it's Christmas, and we sorted some fabrics and some sewing tools as a group into what we felt would go where, and people were allowed to campaign to change things. And it's interesting that velvet was one that velvet and sequins, a lot of debate. We all love how they look, but they're a beast to sew with, and I was saying sequins, the mess when you sew with them. So yeah, so I thought you'd like to see what we came up with. I'd love to know if you agree or disagree with any of those. It was one of those fun, lovely things where you can have a good sewing chat and you can debate things, because we're all talking about where we would place them. If you'd like to get more involved in that, then there's a button below where you can join my membership, and then you can join in with like those virtual catch-ups where we just discuss and have a bit of fun together. And it's just nice sometimes to just talk to people who, when you're saying I love the way sequins look but they're a pain to sew, people know exactly what you mean, and talking to people who are just there with you in terms of understanding, it's just nice. I thought I'd just mention what I'm wearing today. This is one of my newest makes. It is a glittery ponte little jacket I made. If you want to know more about it, it was in my previous Vlogmas day, and it was about 3 makes, and this was one of them. So if you want to go and hear all the deets, head back there, and at the end of the episode there will be my Vlogmas playlist link, so you can go and find it from there. So that is today's episode. I really hope you've enjoyed it. I will be back in 2 days' time for the 23rd of December, and then I will do a grand finale on the 24th. If you haven't realised, I have revealed 7 out of the 8 hidden words and hidden quilt blocks. Hint, hint, recently revealed one. So if you want to take part, details are below, and there's one more to come. So there's only 2 days it might be in. So I will see you again soon, and thank you if you've watched and commented all the way through. I really, really appreciate your support. Bye.